What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some Lady Gaga. And indeed, I wanted to thank all the folks who commented on the first Lady Gaga reaction I did, as well as Mikey, who has shared not only that track, which was Disease, but a couple others already, and it looks like this might be a deep dive, not only enjoyable from a musical standpoint that a lot of people will have insight and comments about. So yes, Mikey shared with me apparently a new single that Lady Gaga has put out called Abracadabra. And as I probably mentioned in that reaction to Disease, for those who are new here, I do audio reactions. I also do video reactions, though less frequently, just because I'm sort of old school DIY. As you can see, I have a lot of music in physical media form, records and CDs, although of course I do react to digital tracks as well. In any case, the point is I tend to like to imbibe a track just on its own terms the first time I hear it. I don't look at lyrics in advance. I like to think about the title for a minute or two, then I give it a listen. I try to catch what I can, both sonically and lyrically. I then listen to it a few more times, during which I typically tend to pick up most of the lyrics that maybe didn't hit me on a first listen. And if after a half dozen or so repeated listenings I can't understand all of the lines, at that point I tend to look up lyrics and make sure that there's not a crucial detail I'm missing. But like I said, I like to experience a tune on its own terms the first couple times just to let it wash over me, so that's what I do here. And yes, the idea of abracadabra, it sounds like a phrase, or in this case a single word that is used in relation to the practicing of magic, and often in connection to a reveal or the moment at which something mesmerizing, unexpected, or seemingly preternatural has been performed or executed. Now, of course, when it comes to stage magic, we're often talking about sleight of hand or misdirection or actions which seem supernatural but are in fact based on the cleverness and skill of the practitioner. So whether we're talking here, and I imagine we will be thinking and speaking figuratively or metaphorically on some level, and perhaps in relation to emotions, the ability to instantly transform one atmosphere or one set of feelings into another, or whether it comes to changing yourself vis-a-vis another person, I do wonder whether we're talking about sleight of hand or a more preternatural transformation. Either way, as I said, I'll try to pick up what I can on a first listen. This is Lady Gaga, the track is Abracadabra, and I believe this was very recently released. It was like hollowed out or like turned inside out. Oof.
Pay the toll to the angels, draw circles in the clouds. Keep your mind on the distance when the devil comes around. Hold me in your heart tonight in the magic of the dawn.
We have acid.
Save me from this empty fight. In the game of life, like a poem said by a lady in red, you hear the last few words of your life. With a haunting dance, now you're both in a trance. It's time to cast your spell on the night. Abracadabra, 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 abracadabra.
The snarling acid.
Abracadabra, abracadabra, in a tongue she said, devil love tonight. Abracadabra, abracadabra, abracadabra. Feel the under your feet, the floor on fire. Abracadabra, abracadabra. Choose the road on the west side as the dust flies. Watch it burn. Don't waste time on feeling guilty passion. No return. Hold me in your heart tonight in the magic of the dark moonlight. Save me from this empty fight. In the game of life, like a poem said by a lady in red, you hear the last few words of your life.
coming. It's funny, I talk about different types of reactions. I like both sides of the predictability spectrum, meaning I like when a tune surprises me and does something that I don't expect rhythmically or melodically, but I also very much enjoy when a tune is a bit intuitive, even on a first listen, when you get a sense for when it's going to transition or when it indeed will come to a close in a very dramatic fashion. So I love the way that ended, loving her vocals. Not only that extension that I mentioned, but at the end it was almost like she was singing in an operatic style, and yet it seemed to have effects on it. It was cut up a little bit to fit with the dance floor rhythm. And as with Disease, half of this track, again, it was a sort of multi-sided Janus Face tune sonically. Half of it had a very wicked, like sharp-shouldered, what's the right word? Like violent type of sound to it, in that it was very rough and heavy, and yet the other side of it had a lot of smooth rhythm, and it felt very trance-like. And indeed, I feel like there was a bit of cheeky use of the word in a trance, right, as it would lead into that real, fist-pumping trance-style rhythm and melody. And it's interesting also in the sense that when I went to react to this tune, if you had told me, oh, actually this is going to have some snarling electric acid work, I'd be like, I would not expect that. I would not be ready for that. And yet there it was. So it does seem to me that she has a mixture of, like, at least, and this is on a very small sample size, but in the handful of tunes I've heard, it does seem to be a mixture of pop, hip-hop, and dance floor type of sonics. So I enjoy the cornucopia of stylings that she seems to bring to her work. Again, very small sample size for yours truly when it comes to being exposed to her catalog, but I do enjoy the blending of different genres and stylings, and it feels like that is a major feature. And yes, lyrically, I'm less certain about this one. Indeed, even though I got a better sense of Disease on a first listen, I still missed the possibility that she was actually talking to herself. I felt like she was addressing another person who was at a low point, but I really do appreciate the comments that shed some insight on that tune. But here, I didn't quite get as many pieces, and even the ones I did pick up, I'm not sure how they get pieced together. But she seemed to be talking at one point about, the dance floor under your feet and the fire rising up, so it feels like there is some overt dancing energy. But she was also talking about, like, looking into the distance, and maybe the magic transformation was about a mindset shift, a psycho-emotional transition. Nevertheless, I do feel like Abracadabra was also used phonetically as part of, like, rhyming phonetic sequences, which reminds me of Bad Romance, I think it's called. That one I actually have heard, and I do enjoy that tune. At some point I'll probably react to it if I can, but yeah, it felt like there was some similar phonetic wordplay going on, and there was, what was it? There was one other element, and this does happen on a first listen, as I said, because, I just let the tune wash over me, and sometimes I'm thinking about a line that I want to talk about afterward, and then I hear some more of the sonics, and it's like, oh wow, that really took my attention. Wait, what was that line I was thinking of? But there was another line that I was trying to interpret in the moment. I am failing to remember, and I don't want to waste your time, so if I can remember, I'll put it in the video description, but I'm sure people will have comments, although, to be fair, I recognize that this is a newer track, so people have had less time to digest it. Either way, I enjoy the intensity that her music can have. As I said, it was a sort of two-sided track, and one side was particularly intense, whereas the other side, it had energy, it had drive, it had power, but it was smoother and more trance-like. But her vocals often convey some of this power and intensity, so looking forward to going through more of her tracks. I know she's been a well-established and long popular artist now for, more than a decade, surely. But it's ultimately just one of those things where, I listen to so many different types of music, and especially what you might call more underground music, punk rock, techno, gabber, and a lot of electronic stylings, that I don't always go down full rabbit holes for artists, but sometimes I'll hear artists that have a huge following, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I get it. Like, I get why people would latch onto this very quickly. So that's the impression I'm getting from Lady Gaga. Looking forward to more. Once again, big shout out to Mikey for sharing. Let me know what you think of this, and Luca, the horizontal cat, and I shall see you next time. Peace.